You're just thinking of burying Yuka.
What?
No, that's the thing you do. You're like, he likes to be buried.
Okay.
And you put
My dog dying.
That's what I thought, too.
You can understand how I got there.
You literally called it like you were like, he likes to be buried.
In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Catherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddy.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks.
These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right, 3-second summaries. 1, 2, 3, go.
3 seconds.
Yeah, 3 seconds.
The book happened.
All right.
Chris, did you actually read the book this time?
No. So here's my new strat. All right. Mm-hmm. I read the first section again.
Oh. Mm-hmm. And did that help?
I read it from where I left off, back to the beginning. I have ended where I started, and I'm no wiser for it.
Was it better the second time?
I will say the first section backwards made a little bit more sense than the first section forwards. Mm-hmm. I did, having read the first section twice, I am ready to do summaries for this book.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm here to do that. I'm not fucking around.
The book you read in reverse. So you don't understand less as the pages turn.
Or a movie so crass and awkwardly cast that even I could have been the star. All right.
I know that song. Wait, what is that?
It's Pink Bullets by the Shins.
Ah, I was like, that reminds me of my childhood.
I know. But weirdly also, I listened to the Garden State soundtrack while playing Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball too, so other
Girl,
things
you
too.
gay.
Oh my god, Chris, that just reminded me of you making me play Rainbow Six Las Vegas to Grizzly Bear's
Yellow House.
It was kind of beautiful.
It was. Until you started shooting people, then you had to switch it to something else.
Yeah, we also did Forza to the Nutcracker.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Forza to the Nutcracker, yeah.
Mine was just because Garden State was one of the things that was saved on the 360.
It is true. Yeah, no, you're totally right about the Forza and the Nutcracker, too. And I used to listen to that while actually driving, which was ill-advised.
This was a Baldy state. I also remember Gorillas and Halo.
Well, so the Xbox 360 was one of the few consoles that allowed you to violate the authorial intent of any game you were playing by putting on whatever junk music you wanted to listen to. So, like, it really saved them because, you know, their bread and butter was, like, man games for men. So, you know, you could put on...
Killing music.
Or just better music.
Yeah.
You know, like, you could be listening to Feist while playing Halo and being called the F-bomb. Was
Xbox the boy console?
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the American boy. It's the American boy console.
And Sony is the...
It's also the boy. It was also at the time the boy console.
It was just less American.
It was just...
Nintendo is cute.
Sony always did... Nintendo is cute. Oh my god. Yeah. I could go on a whole thing. Don't worry. There's a whole game where the companies and the consoles are, like, made into fucking girls. And you're playing as the lost Sega Neptune. She's lost her memory. Her name is Neptune. She doesn't know who she is. She goes to these 3 other worlds, and she meets the protectors of the world, Black Heart, White Heart, and Blue Heart, who are fucking Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo. And Nintendo is this, like, tiny, childlike creature who lives in a wonderful winter wonderland, but just wants to drink and smoke like the rest of the world, but isn't allowed to.
What is Sony?
She's like, I'm 30.
I think
Sony was, like, a pretty... pretty Twin Tails, like Tosaka Rin type, and she was a little stuck up, but she was also a streamer. She was like a live
nice.
vlogger. And
Sony is for weirdos.
Yeah, and then Xbox was a big-boobed, green-haired lady who actually desperately wanted to be Japanese.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, that's
she
real.
lived in a beautiful European castle and played like old-school JRPGs all day.
Yeah. Well, they were always trying to get Square to come over.
Yeah.
Square Enix to come over. Yeah, they had a couple of like Square Enix exclusives that like managed to eke around the Final Fantasy contracts.
Yes, Lost Odyssey. It was a game.
That's what it was.
It had that Jefferson. Well, it had that Jefferson Airplane song in the trailer.
Yeah.
And the white knight is talking backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it was the first time I'd like ever heard the song, and I was like, "This is awesome."
Guys, I'm not gonna lie. We might, after this series, need to pivot to having a video game podcast.
That's
Guys, for our listeners' sake, because Miranda is cutting less and less material from these episodes as we go forward, let's do 3-second summaries. I'm going to be all biz. I'm going to be all biz cash,
Again,
but I'm going to be biz.
Do we mean 3-second or 3-sentence?
Sorry, 3-sentence summaries. I'll be doing mine in 3 seconds.
Okay.
Do you want to take 3, Chris? So,
do you really want me to take three?
Can I be very transparent? The situation we've now found ourselves in is very interesting. Chris has, I think, a fairly fresh sense of the entire book. And Miranda, I don't know if this is true for you, but I feel like I have a very fresh sense of the second half of the book.
Yeah, the first half of the book is a little iffier for me. But...
Okay. Book 9, titled The Cassie 2, starring Cassie, begins in a classroom where Cassie is using her morphing powers to cheat at science. And also to antagonize psychotic boys who played Xbox if they could have, and to really show off how empathetic she is and how much she looks from the experience of others. Then...
Okay, no, that works. That does work. That works. You're fine.
No, I mean, I can start sentence 2. Sentence 2. The local trees, they're all going away. They're no more anymore. They're not going to be there. They're not going to be upright. They're going to be paper, and you're going to need paper weights. And who's going to do that? No one. That's who. So Darpson, logging company, is going to be there, and they're bad people, and they're going to cut down the trees. But actually, they're the Yerks, and the Yerks are them. And the Yerks are going to cut down the trees because there's a small chance the Andalite bandits are in there. So then we concoct a plan to go inside. And I've said 3 sentences.
Yes. Yeah, you did actually.
Well, you're right. It was just the first book. The first half of the book.
First half of the book, I think.
No.
Miranda,
wow, I feel ashamed of myself. I feel like
I don't think we needed to hit the mouse thing. I would have cut the mouse thing.
I had to read it twice. It's how the book ends.
I'll do 2. I got my first sentence. I think the Yerks are cutting down trees, and Cassie's mad about it. While saving a litter of skunks, she breaks into the logging camp with the other Animorphs and saves the forest by spraying Visser 3 with her skunk stink.
All right.
Period.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
Still managed to dodge the first half of the book.
Cassie deals with the thin line between predator and prey as she morphs many creatures, some bigger, some smaller, some very, very small, while trying to stop the Yerks from cutting down the forest.
Nice.
There you go.
Here, can I do my 3 sentences again?
Yes.
I promise I won't take forever. I've been thinking about it while you guys are going.
Okay.
You mean you haven't been paying attention?
No, I have been.
Okay.
I heard Miranda's. That's where I got the idea. The thing is, not from yours. Sentence 1. There is a scene in this book in which Cassie's dad is afraid of a skunk and makes Cassie go pet a really hurt skunk that got hurt because of Cassie. Cassie then takes the morph of that hurt skunk and later becomes a skunk mom. There was a period in between
There is too much ambiguity and later becomes a skunk mom.
I think it's...
Is that 3 sentences? I thought that was 2. You're going to stop there?
Oh, last sentence. I think she really got a kick out of it.
Okay. Okay, it does raise the question. Okay. They are not breastfeeding the skunk kittens, right?
No, they're old enough to eat solid food.
Okay.
Yeah,
hey, bud, what are you trying to do to our listenership right now?
But they're not doing it because Scholastic, right? They could.
Right, because
I don't think it was that important to the Applegates that they breastfeed a skunk.
I was stuck on it. I was like, why not just breastfeed? Like,
because the skunks were old enough that they were eating solid food.
Oh, but, like, do you think they actually went to the trouble to look that up, or did they just say, no, it's okay because they're old enough? Like, I don't know anything about how skunks work, but I'm so glad that Marco wasn't breastfeeding a bunch of kids. Okay, so where are we starting, guys?
We're in the
right
termite
now, we have a lot.
hive?
Yeah, we have a lot to do.
We're in the termite turmoil, I would say.
Ooh, the tumultuous termite oil.
Yeah, what you said.
First line, we're on chapter 13. The Queen!
The Queen!
I can feel her power. Cassie, Marco, Axe, and Rachel are termites.
Yes.
And they've just arrived in the Queen's chamber.
And that was not their plan. They really just wanted to be a termite to be small enough to get under the
force field and through the wood to grandmother's house we go.
Logging camp we go. Right, exactly.
But the termite queen has other plans.
And also, Cassie, crucially, at the end of last chapter, ate a piece of termite poop that seemed to contain chemical messages. Yes, as a termite. Well, you'd never know as a human.
Right.
Well, she's
could be
method.
happening all the time.
Yeah.
She's method. Yeah.
And so she is fighting the instincts of her body more, even though she's regained her mind. Like, usually when you regain your mind in these morphs, you can overpower the instincts, but, like, something stronger than her own mind is making her body move.
Right. And she's being given orders, basically, through what she describes as smells and vague feelings that are all impossible to refuse. And
they all thought speak to each other. We find out that everybody has sort of come back to themselves and is in the same predicament of not being able to control themselves. And then, in really uncharacteristic, speedy fashion, Cassie and Rachel realize that the only way they're gonna get out of this is to destroy the Queen. And Cassie manages to convince her body that it's attacking an ant, because ants are the enemy.
Right. That's her. That's like one of the things they're programmed to do is to fight ants. And so she looks at the Queen and manages to trick the termite brain into viewing it as an ant, right?
Right. And then she decapitates her.
Yeah, she commits regicide like you would not believe.
But we don't get a good description. She just opens her massive pincer jaws, and then all the termites are going crazy.
She seems to disassociate, right?
She kind of does, yeah.
There's some lost time there, I think, because...
Have you been watching The X-Files?
No, just the episode that you showed me. It seems almost like when she comes back, the other Animorphs are already out of the log.
That's
right?
true.
Or
we do seem to get some level of indication of that in a little bit, because she gets some, like, sad lines about how, like, she wants to forget what she did because she just basically killed the only thing that's keeping this society together. Like, she intellectually knows that these termites will all, like, starve to death without their queen because they don't have anyone telling them what to do.
Oh, without their mother. Also, queens in the termite context are the mother.
That's true.
Yeah.
And, that's a good point. That's a really good point that I hadn't considered.
Yeah, you think everything I say is gonna be garbage.
But so Cassie is like screaming, "Demorph, demorph." Someone yells to her that she's still in the wood.
Yeah.
But she proceeds to...
Oh my god, this was so scary. So scary.
Yeah. She demorphs anyway, and she's just pressing against the wood, which I wonder if we can do some math. I don't know off the top of my head how much force it takes to split a rotten log.
From the inside?
But I think we can calculate how fast she's growing based on that.
I bet you, here's what we could do. We could get a rotting log, and we could, with termite damage, and we could seal off a bunch of it in rubber. We could take, like, a compressed air thing, and then, Miranda, you can call the slow-mo guys to come over.
Because I've been a fan of Gabby Free longer.
Exactly. So, and then we'll slowly blow it up with the compressed air and have a PSI meter. And then roughly when it explodes, that's how much force is being exerted by a morph to the wood a little bit.
I think this is what our Animorphs wants from us, actually. I think it's our...
Yeah, they don't want my astrology conjectures.
We get that Cassie... So I grew. Walls pressed in around me. I filled the tunnel. I couldn't grow anymore. Trapped. Pain. Nothing but pain. I was a swollen, vast termite. That's just what I wanted to hit. I was a swollen, vast termite.
I see that you have it highlighted.
I don't actually know what my comment is.
It was... Aw.
Well, there we go. A little peek behind the curtain there.
And then the wood actually explodes. The wall opened up, splinters everywhere.
Axe is actually hacking at it with his tail blade.
Yes, he's...
Oh, is that?
That's right.
Yeah.
So she doesn't blow it up herself anyway. I do want to say, we go very different places on this page, right? So at the top of the page, we've got Cassie has just killed the termite queen. She says, I think in some way I wanted to forget who I was, what I had done. I wanted to become one of the lost, panicked termites. And then about halfway down the page, at least the way I've got it laid out, we get one of my favorite lines in the book. And there was a computer monitor showing a neat screensaver with triangles floating and reforming.
To which Rachel responds, are you okay?
Yeah.
And Cassie, she's in the state of mind where she's noticing screensavers. She screams, let me go!
First she hugs her.
Yeah, you're missing.
Rachel reaches out, Cassie hugs back, and then is like, why the fuck are you touching me?
Yeah. Rachel clamps a hand over Cassie's mouth. Marco grabs her ankles and held them still. And so Marco urges Axe to, whatever you can do with that computer, do it.
Right, because that's why we came here. We want information off this computer.
Right, so he starts making video games for babies as he did in book 8. He makes a Boobah clone.
The reason they're holding Rachel is because...
Cassie,
yes, thank you.
Wow, you really did get sunburned, didn't you, Ed?
The logging headquarters? Is that what we want? Like the command center?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah? And there are Yerks their controllers probably right on the other side of the wall, right?
Yeah, but Cassie's freaking out.
Yeah.
So, they get into the room. Cassie demorphs. She saved all their lives. Is freaking out too much to do anything productive. So they're just trying to take care of her enough so that she doesn't blow their cover.
Right, and they're like, Axe, do whatever needs to be done on the computer so that we can get the fuck out of here. And Rachel is, stroking Cassie's hair and being like, shh, it's okay.
And I would say that Cassie is, I forget what happened in book 8. I'm joking. I totally remember. I'm just joking. But I do think that Cassie has had, in these books, possibly some of the scariest close calls to date, including falling from the sky as a whale.
Yeah.
Starting as a cockroach, morphing to human, hitting the water as a whale, and somehow surviving. Which I'm pretty sure the whale would die. I don't
Honestly,
think for
only think the reason it lived is, I think the only reason it lived is the Valik slowing it down.
Was pulling it down.
Yeah,
but for science, if we hadn't whaled all the whales away, we could go out tomorrow and drop one and see. But,
Cassie calms down a bit. Rachel's, asking, are you okay? She's like, I will never be okay again. But she doesn't say that. She just nods her head, yes, I'm fine. She's like, well, great. Doing awesome. Love and life. And
Which I just want to underline that line. I would never be okay again. Probably was already true before this experience, but now it's definitely true.
And she's still having Mondo panic attack stress symbols. She's like, I'm fine, but then internally she's like, my skin is still crawling. I can't relax. Meanwhile, Axe and Marco are hacking away at a different kind of thing you can hack at, which is a computer, and they are trying to figure out anything they can. They're really shooting in the dark. They're really just like, let's go to the documents folder and hope to find gold. And they do. They find some documentation about how they were acquiring their logging permit for this wood, which by all rights should have no need to be logged. And they identify that there are 3 members on the local commission that are deciding the fate of this copse of trees.
Yes. And one has already decidedly voted against it, and one has already decidedly voted for it. Mm-hmm. He's probably a controller, they figure. But so there's one undecided member of this 3-person commission who they are going to try to invite over to win him over, you know? You know, they did the controller angle on one of them, but, you know, this time they just want to show that they're a good, honest logging company. You know, Lumber Company.
It's so like Visser 3 to want to show off his charisma skills. Like, he's been playing D&D, and he's like, see, if I had done this in real life, I would have gotten away with it. And then they're like, well, then fucking show me next time you're... It's like, all right, maybe I will. Maybe I'll have Farad over instead of...
Yeah, so we get his name, too, is he's... Farrand, right? So it's this guy.
Farrand, yes.
Sorry, I probably said that wrong.
It could be Farran.
We also...
I like Farran for some reason.
Yeah,
it's got
it's
a
better.
flair to it.
Please drop the Farad. That's what... So we also learn what Dapson means, which Dapson is the name of the logging company.
We don't exactly learn what it means, only that it isn't polite. And it's Yerkish.
No, you need to say more than that. It's a Yerkish curse word.
Yeah.
Like, it for sure is a Yerkish curse word.
Yes, but we don't know if it's like a slur. We don't know if it's just like thumb up my butt lumber company. Like
No, I think we know. No, I think we know from context that this is probably as though there was like, fuck logging company. Like, that's what this is like.
But what if it's like a slur for humans?
No.
Well,
you don't think it could be. Well, yeah, it might not be specifically for humans, but you don't think it could be like inferior race logging company?
Yeah.
No, but it's going to be the whole reason that they're logging is not because it gives them some leverage other than to kill the Andalite bandits. So with this theory, I would be more convinced if it had to do with Andalites specifically or something.
Oh, so you think that you think maybe it's like an Andalite? Well, yeah, because Axe clearly knows what it means.
Yeah.
But they say it's a Yerkish word.
And I love Yerkish. I love this Yerkish. Yeah. I don't. It's not necessary. It's not the Yerkish Empire. It's the Yerk Empire. So I don't know why their language is Yerkish.
Oh my god, the Yerkish Empire. Oh, it's so good.
The Ottoman Yerks is there now.
I love Yerkish music and the food. It's wonderful. Anyway, the point is, young Yerks. How did we never get there? I'm sorry.
We can change our podcast name still.
Yeah. Young Yerks is, oh my god. Oh, speaking of which, I've been telling people about the Applegate podcast, and I think we have to start making it now.
We're going to have to brainstorm some content for that podcast.
It's just going to be 10-minute episodes of us going, we could answer all these questions and more if she'd come on our show.
If she'd come on our damn show. I agree.
So we find out that Farrand is coming to the logging camp, at the end of the week?
That's what they say.
There's not much time before this escalates.
To get a petition together to knock on doors. Yeah. There's one last critical detail just from a plot thing, which is that they hack the computer so that they can check in on it while they're away from home.
Yes.
Not a big deal. Just wanted to mention it.
No, but they're able to let themselves out of the force field, I think, because of Axe at this computer. He's like, I can shut the defenses down from here, and then I can also, like, spy on this computer from Marco's home computer.
Yeah, from Big60News.com. I mean, he wrote that computer off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really just important because if he calls it Marco's computer, that's embezzlement.
Right.
So...
There's also, just because Chris mentioned the Termite Queen as mother thing, we do get a bit about... So Rachel, we know she's not usually very nurturing. When Cassie's having her panic attack... Or no, actually, it's after she's like coming down. We get this line, Rachel stayed with me. She was stroking my hair like my mom would have done if I'd had a nightmare. Yeah. I just think the mother stuff is interesting.
Yeah, there's going to be a motherly thread through this second half of the book. Not so much in the first half of the book.
And everyone gets to be mother. in this book.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Just to be cleared out, no breastfeeding. No breastfeeding.
Eddie, I don't know why you want to make us a lactation podcast. Like, I don't know.
I get that breastfeeding is an important and beautiful part of child rearing, as it's known, and
child breastfeeding, as it's known.
You two wanted me to clarify. I was getting...
So, okay, there's something I actually didn't have highlighted that is now jumping out at me. Moving on to chapter 14. We get a recap of, like, they have to figure out whose parents are not going to yell at them for lying about where they were. They stay over, and Cassie gives Rachel some clothes to change into, which the only clothes she has is a big flannel shirt.
Yeah,
to give Rachel.
True.
I'm just saying, it's just...
You're saying it's so clear that Cassie's into Jake, right? Like, that's what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
They go to Cassie's place. Cassie's parents expect her to be at Rachel's, and Rachel's parents expect her to be at Cassie's. So there's some lying going on here, which was a little bit out of character for...
Well, you know...
I mean, she's been dealing with it all book, though. I feel like she had the whole, like...
Yeah, if you guys had actually read the first part of the book the way it was meant to be read, you'd know that.
But no one gets much sleep.
Well, actually, it sounds like Rachel passes out. She has nightmares.
Yeah,
but she actually does sleep. She's like... But she thinks Cassie slept really well, but Cassie actually just sort of, like, laid awake crying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
silently.
But like, there's this thing. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but there's this passage in here where she says, "I crawled into my bed, my own familiar bed. The sheets were cool. The comforter was my comforter. I belonged here. This was my place." Every once in a while, I have this feeling when I get into bed where it is so fucking comfortable and so exactly what I want. Usually I'm like really, really tired, and I choose to stay awake longer so that I can be awake to enjoy how comfortable my bed is. This is no joke.
No, I kind of understand what you're saying. I think...
Like, it's like I'm exhausted and I'm safe and I'm in my bed and I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I can sleep in. So...
Oh, yeah, I'm just going to stay up and store this as a core memory to be able to come back
exactly.
to.
And next time I'm freaking out, I can remember how I stayed awake in my bed for 4 extra hours.
I think mostly this line was just here to... I mean, I know we put a gap there, but really only 2 chapters ago she was saying when she entered the termite colony that as the termite it felt like, yes, the colony, the home, my place where I belong. Mm-hmm. And so I think this was just to emphasize that this is the place she belongs, not the termite colony.
It does kind of resonate with she's not there yet, but there will be a burrow later. It's also very cozy.
Anyway, Cassie gets a couple lines in here about, how hard it is for her to cope with what she just did in the grand scheme of those termites' lives and her place in nature, and how she's always loved animals and been around them and thought she understood them, and, maybe she doesn't really know anything. She gets a pretty killer line that says, "I've been more animals than most people ever see in a lifetime."
Yeah.
Than many people, not most people. I mean, if she's speaking from present day end of the series, Cassie, maybe. I don't know. But at this point in the books, she's been like, 15 animals?
Yeah. Right.
All of which I've seen in real life.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is a good point. Yeah, she is. No, it is actually like a very verifiably, like anyone who's been to a zoo. I feel like
you've seen enough species of bird walking around town.
100%. Even in the city. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But it sounds good.
But she's like tripping out, thinking about the interconnectivity of all things and about what used to be this like beautiful balance of nature is now like decaying into an unbelievable amount of tension.
What she thought of as like a beautiful balance of nature.
Yes, exactly. Is now she can only see it as utter savagery and like tension and just force upon force upon force exerting itself on each other to the point where she trips out so hard that she's like, all of nature was at war is what she thinks to herself. She just she takes the worldview that she's learning from her experience with the Yeerks and with all these things, and she can't help but see everything now in that context, which Sun Tzu warns about. Well, he doesn't warn
And
about
Rachel's
it
been
directly.
trying to remind Cassie about that, too.
Yeah.
But he does say some weird-ass shit about music.
I think we should, I feel like this part's so good that maybe this is something one of us should just read.
Sure. Miranda, do you... I can
do it. Sure.
All right, cool. Take it, Miranda.
I have been more animals than many people ever see in a lifetime.
I have been more animals.
I have flown with the wings of an osprey. I've raced through the ocean in the body of a dolphin. I've seen the world through the eyes of an owl at night and smelled the wind with all the keen senses of a wolf. I've flown upside down and backward in the body of a fly. Sometimes I go out into the far fields at night and become a horse and run through the grass. And everything I've been, every animal, is either killer or killed. In a million battles all around the world, on every continent, in every square inch of space, there was killing. From the great cats in Africa that cold-bloodedly search out the young and weak gazelles, to the terrible wars that are fought out in anthills and termite colonies. All of nature was at war. And at the top of all that destruction, humans killed each other as well as other species, and now those same people had been enslaved and destroyed by the Yeerks. Nature at its finest. Cute, cuddly animals who slaughtered to live. The color of nature wasn't green. It was red. Blood red.
That's some emo shit.
Yeah.
We always
There's a
talk
reason
about
why she's a
Werner
Nine Inch
Herzog.
Nails fan. Werner Herzog. Yes,
feel like
yes.
He
Oh my
said
God,
this.
that whole passage in Werner Herzog's voice. You're totally right. Nature at its finest. Cute, cuddly animals who slaughter to live. The color of nature, however, wasn't green. It was instead red. Blood red.
I actually think there's a clip of him talking about this exact thing in like the rainforest or something. Like,
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
Who knew Cassie was gonna pivot this direction?
Oh, she is metal as fuck.
I feel like I don't know we'll dig into this as the book goes on, but I feel like Cassie is the one who has like the ethical. And this isn't about morphing, like that's what book 4 was more about, but it's like she wrestles with the ethical questions of war, of being at war with the Yeerks, of morphing and things like that. Like the fact that they turn into termites and then can kill the termite queen, and what does that mean, you know?
Yeah, and do it all to save themselves. That's another thing that's like really hurting her.
Yeah.
It also seems like the scope of the concern, like she seems to, whenever they're in a situation, like for example, destroying the termites, she's like, I just destroyed an entire civilization. Like, I just destroyed an entire complex set of interactions that was sustaining a lot of beings, and I didn't think twice about it. I crushed them like they were bugs, which is what the Yeerks are trying to do to us. Like, it's like...
How is what we are doing different? Is like that. Yeah.
So Cassie finally kind of sleeps. She dreams that she was a mother looking for her babies. So she wakes up, Rachel wakes up, and she's like, oh, I had an awful nightmare, but I gotta get home before... I think she's gonna try to get home before her mom realizes... Or before Cassie's mom realizes she was there.
It probably doesn't matter, like most of the stuff in this book.
Oh my God.
But,
I'm just kidding.
But Cassie's like, hey, what we did last night... I wasn't actually having a breakdown. I just thought it was kind of fucked up. And she's like, yeah, but like, it's just bugs. We just killed bugs. Who cares?
It's like, and yeah, I liked Eddie's note on this. It's like, have you ever fucking met Cassie?
Yeah.
It's not, they're not just bugs, they're bugs.
Yeah.
You can't do that to bugs.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting. This is paving the path to, they're just people, Cassie.
Yeah.
As she decides to side with the Yeerks.
Yeah. It's one planet, Cassie. Like,
And we get Cassie's breakfast here, which I thought was kind of strange. Toast, orange juice, and then a piece of leftover veggie pizza. Is Cassie canonically a vegetarian? Is that right?
I don't know.
It's come up.
I don't know that they said. I know they said.
I haven't seen it explicitly said. But
I know they said Rachel was trying to be a vegetarian at some point back in book 3.
Was that because of
that's
morphing?
right.
Yeah, somebody morphs the wolf and is like, I can smell the bacon you ate this morning despite claiming you were trying to go vegetarian.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, Marco.
Yeah,
Doesn't Marco
I think
say
it's
that?
Marco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while she's like, getting herself taken care of, she like ruminates one more time on what ruminates? She meditates one more time on what Rachel had said to her about them just being bugs, and she's like, you know what? Maybe she's right. Like, maybe they are just stupid little bugs to be destroyed. And that's what my therapist calls a reframe. And I think that that's growth. I'm just saying.
It doesn't work for you?
I said it was growth.
Oh, I thought you said it was gross. She goes out looking for... She's thinking about these skunks, right? The skunk babies.
Yeah, so she's walking up to the forest after she gets a little frozen grasshopper from the barn.
Like a little snacky snack in case she gets hungry while she's hiking in the woods.
And she runs into Tobias there.
Mm-hmm.
Who's also had a little snack.
Yeah.
It is worth saying, it is clear that she's going to the woods to find the skunk kits and feed them,
I mean,
right?
It doesn't 100%.
It doesn't explicitly
She
say it?
says it to Tobias.
Yes, yeah.
Like, she's about to reveal it. Like, it's about to
Damn it.
happen.
These books are too artsy for me.
Tobias is checking on her, you know, hey, how you doing? I heard it was pretty bad. And she's like, yeah, who'd you talk to? He's like, you know, Axe. And she's like, uh-huh. And you talked to Marco? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, he told you I went nuts, didn't he? And he's like, well, no, he said insane. He also said Looney Tunes and wacko.
And then he said yakko and die.
But he meant it all in the nicest way possible.
Right. And Cassie's like, yeah, maybe I did go a bit wacko. And Tobias is like, we're all crazy down here, you know? Like,
Yeah.
or we're all mad here. I mixed it with we all float down here. Very different.
But I just want to note that because I think it is something that... I feel like this book, they talk about the psychological effect of especially in the back end. They're going to talk a lot about how it's affecting them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they get into this conversation about predator and prey.
And Tobias, you know, she's saying I was just like any predator. And Tobias, at first, he's like, oh, just like me. And she's like, just
me?
like any predator, okay? I'm not specifying which terrible person I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I mean, should we just read this dialogue?
sure.
yeah.
I'll take Tobias.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sick of it. Take it from there.
Well, I'm pretty sick of it. I had to fucking do shit, you know? I had to
Yeah, that's
I had
real.
to destroy the termite queen. I know she was just a bug, but, you know, who am I to decide that it's okay to kill one animal and not another? Here I am, the big earth mother, tree hugger, animal lover, as Marco would say, and when it gets down to it, I'm just like...
Just like me?
Just like any predator.
You feel bad because you had to kill the queen in order to survive.
I shouldn't have been there. It's their world, not mine. Those little tunnels in a rotten piece of wood, that's their whole universe. I invaded it, and when they got in my way, I reacted. Who does that remind you of?
Look, you are not a yerk. The termites are not human beings. There's no comparison.
Look, I have to morph. There's something I need to do.
What?
It's something stupid, all right? There's this mother skunk we have who's injured. She has a litter of kits who are gonna die. I think I know where they are, more or less, but I can't get there walking like a human.
Skunk kits? Near the edge of the logging compound?
Yeah.
I'll help you finish them off. He says, I can show you where they are. The implication being that Tobias may have had a little skunk kid
Well,
snacky
it gets
snack.
a little more opaque when Cassie says, "Are they still alive?" And Tobias responds,
There are 4 still alive.
and she feels anger. And it's not common for her. And she gets real mad. She goes, I'm going to save what's left of them.
And then Tobias says, I'll help.
Yeah.
But and I help. But the one thing that she doesn't realize is that she miscounted and there was only ever 4 to begin with. And he actually never like.
Well, yeah, she doesn't. He's like, maybe that's what he was saying. Maybe he's like, there's 4 still alive. I don't know how many there were when it started.
But it seems
food to me.
seems to be that Tobias ate one of them. I feel like with the way they talk about it
that
later.
he definitely ate
I'm
one.
just saying,
It's a pretty
when you're
fucked up thing to do in a kid's book.
When you're at a fancy gala and they're bringing around hors d'oeuvres, do you know how many start on those plates? No, you don't. You say there were 4 when I took one.
Yeah.
That's Pop.
And I I do think there's like just also the way that Cassie describes Tobias here, his ripping talons, and then the real one is like at his nastily curved beak.
Yeah, she's not happy with him.
Yeah.
What, because he looks awesome?
Because he's cool?
Because he's fucking cool?
I'm cool now, okay? You thought I was okay to be around when I was a nerd and you were cooler than me, but now that I'm cool in my own right.
You're just jealous that I'm more myself than your duplicitous termite-killing being.
That's right.
Yeah, you're just upset that you can't pick a side in a war. I picked side hawk.
So,
right.
Cassie turns into an osprey.
Left hawk.
And follows.
Wait, what chapter is it?
Chapter 16.
Start saying the chapters.
For those reading along at home, we're on chapter 16. Last chapter was 15.
And the one before that, 14. And Chris, you know
now,
what the one before that was?
My memory's a little foggy because I didn't read this chapter. The 13?
It sounds right.
It sounds right. I mean, if I had read the book, I could have verified, but...
So, Cassie, she flies with Tobias she's an osprey. He takes her there, and she morphs out. She waits for Tobias to leave because, like, she wants some privacy, and then she morphs to Skunk. And she just, I don't know, some of the descriptions are just so cute.
Yes, they are so good. They remind me of Pikachu in Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, but like
Lots
original fat Pikachu.
Yeah.
Yes,
Fat.
the waddle physics.
Yes,
and whether or not they've improved.
Physics.
Yes, the waddle
we
physics.
used to talk about this all the time.
Yes, we did.
very
Yeah,
good.
you, me, and Jeff. Yeah, you, me, and Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta see it. Okay,
Talk about the
I'll
waddle
tweet out-
physics of Pikachu.
Yeah. I'll tweet out some waddle physics.
Okay, now crouch walk.
after.
Okay, now back up while
Yeah.
crouch. Very,
No, those are pretty
very
good waddle
cute.
physics. Very cute. But that's like all I could think about every time the word waddle got used, and it got used quite a bit in this book.
Yeah, she says, I shuffled and sort of waddled when I tried to walk. When I tried to run, I just ended up waddling a little more.
It's also like...
Yeah, which to what I also like, that's me. Like, same, man. Like, when I try to run, I just kind of waddle a little more.
I like here, so when Cassie's in skunk morph, she's talking about what it feels like to be a skunk. And she says, this package of instincts was so gentle, so unafraid, not cocky and swaggering like a big cat, just unafraid. I was an animal no bigger than a house cat, no sharp teeth or talons, and yet just about nothing in the forest messed with me. I felt the gentleness of absolute confidence. I love that line.
I love that too, because like, it's a really actually healthy way to look at being confident in the world. You know what I mean? If you truly see yourself as valuable, you should be more compassionate to others because like, you know, but also it just makes me think of like a giant or like a demigod who's like being very, it's like, oh, look at these cute little humans. It's like Superman. I think Superman thinks about humans the way the skunk thinks about everything in the forest.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good model. I think like the more obvious form of confidence is Rachel, and that's not going to be Cassie's model for like when she's peeking at what Cassie is at level 100. Like this is like a peek at what like, oh, there's a path for me where I don't have to be like that.
Rachel is much more courage masking a lack of confidence.
Yes, yeah.
And Cassie is much more compassion you perceive as cowardice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, not to confuse things further, but I often think about the example of like, is Superman brave? And the answer is like, not really, because he can't die by normal means.
Right.
So if he had become a firefighter, that wouldn't be a brave or heroic thing to do. That would have just been like what he should be doing.
No, fighting alien races and stuff,
die.
and like fighting evil Kryptonians or like Bizarro or whatever, that's brave because he could actually die. But even fighting Batman, as much as we want them to be, like, we suspend our disbelief long enough for the show or the comic or whatever, but like,
it's just not that brave because Batman's just a guy in a costume. That's Rachel Brave. Rachel Brave is like, she doesn't know the risks. She thinks that Batman's actually dangerous.
See, I think she's Batman in that scenario.
I think
where it's like,
Batman,
I'm ready to punch God. I know I'll die. Like,
You're right.
So Cassie, as Skunk, goes into the burrow. She hears the mewing sound of the skunk kits within the burrow. She waddles over to the opening. She's going to keep waddling this whole book.
and she brings her little grasshopper, which has now thawed. She carried a frozen grasshopper out here as a bird, and
Right.
has now is carrying it into the
To
skunk
feed
kits.
them. Yeah.
She says she thinks she was falling out of love with nature,
Yeah.
with animals. And then she falls asleep cuddled up with the babies of the skunk that she has morphed into. So they all know she's their mom. And they're snuggling. She fed them. She knows they're not going to die, at least for now. And she just passes out.
Yeah, this was a bad idea. You don't want to go to sleep with a strict 2-hour, so just to put it in perspective, when I got off work, I had 2 hours before this call. And I didn't set an alarm, and I knew there was a small possibility that I would wake up trapped in Morph.
Chris Morph.
And Chris Morph in my bed.
The worst morph.
Yeah. Hey.
Wait, can we talk about this? This line about, even in my sleep, I knew what was happening to me. See, I had always loved animals, always, but now I think I was falling out of love. Is she just depressed at this point? Like, she mentions that she goes in there, she can tell how happy they are to see her, and she just feels really sleepy. She lays down to morph. It's not because of the skunk kits that she's feeling this way, right?
It's the duplicity
I mean, I think
of it.
the
It's
physical,
duality of it.
physical warmth doesn't hurt, and like the relief hormones or endorphins or neurotransmitters or whatever in the skunk's body at feeding its kits. And also, she didn't sleep last night. I think
Right.
she like,
And as we know, the
she's
sleep
depressed.
goes with.
Sleep goes with.
Right, I guess she does follow
So-
this up with, nature wasn't all cute and fuzzy. The strong ate the weak ate the weaker. It's what the Yerks were doing, trying to make prey out of the ultimate predator, Homo sapiens. I guess she's also thinking about how vulnerable the skunk kits are, yeah?
Yeah. It's also a bit of a parallel to the moment when she wanted to stay stuck as a termite. Not stuck, but when she didn't want to morph out of human and live with what she'd done. She did a good thing as this skunk, and she doesn't want to have to go back to being human, who has been doing some not so nice things lately.
Yeah.
But it's just the cognitive dissonance of it.
Yeah.
It's like she's holding on to these recent experiences, and for a minute she's able to like resume her own momentums and inertias, but like then she has to sit with knowledge that has nothing to do with those, or not nothing to do with it, but she can't reckon it with what she's doing.
Yeah.
She can't reckon her kindness against what she once did.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting moment I wanted to zoom in on.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
she wakes up, and we get, hey, are you in there, Cassie?
And it's Jake, and we find out that she's been sleeping for almost 2 whole hours.
Yeah.
Tobias
Which is
hasn't
just
seen
luck
her.
that Jake caught her.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Tobias went and told him what
Yeah.
she was doing, so I guess they wandered over, and when they couldn't find her, they panicked.
Yeah. And this scene is one of my favorite scenes in the entire series thus far.
Yes.
Like, just like literally everybody flipping
Can
their
we read
shit.
this one too?
Yeah, so Jake, Marco, and Tobias are all here.
Who's reading whom?
I'll read Jake. I want to be a big jerk.
I'll do,
Do you want to do Cassie?
Cassie.
Okay, I'll
Yeah, do
take
Cassie.
anybody else who
Marco.
talks.
Yeah,
anybody
there
else.
might
You
also
take
be. I
everybody
feel like
else.
there's some good lines that might be like narration too.
So Cassie's waking up and she goes, "What?"
It's me, Jake. Cassie, get out of there now! You've been in morph for almost 2 hours.
And then so she starts waking up and starts to demorph, knowing she has limited time. And Jake continues.
And she's seen Jake mad, but never this mad.
Oh yeah. I have seen Jake mad before, but never this mad.
What did you
Never,
think you
ever.
were doing? You were 10 minutes away from spending the rest of your life as a skunk.
I fell asleep.
Are you out of your mind? What is the matter with you?
Look, I'm sorry. Her mouth is morphing back. So look, I'm sorry.
This is not why we have this ability. We are not trying to save every lost skunk in the world. We are an army, a small, weak, pathetic, outnumbered army. We have exactly 6 members.
We band of brothers, we.
Tobias has already been trapped in morph, but he was trapped fighting the Yerks. I can't believe you would nearly get yourself trapped in morph over some skunks.
Look, it's okay, Jake. She's okay.
Thanks to Tobias. No thanks to her.
Cassie is pretty horrified by this, you know. She finally sort of realizes the severity of what almost happened to her just now.
Marco, Tobias, take a walk, okay?
Okay.
I know you had a real bad experience last night. I've been there. I've had the nightmares. I know what's going on in your head right now.
I'm fine.
Just shut up and listen to me.
I was surprised when you wanted to take Jake.
But he's not angry anymore. At this,
Yeah.
somehow, shut up and listen to me is when he stops being angry.
You take it again, kind of affectionate. Just shut up and listen to me.
You damn rebel, you.
Just shut up and listen to me.
That I love
I
so much.
love you.
Very Humphrey Bogart. Shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen to me, will you?
He is looking at you, Ken.
I care about you, Cassie. We all do. We all need you.
Oh my God, you're so good. That's amazing. I lost my place on the page because I'm laughing too hard. Where am I? To win? You need me to fight battles? What if I don't want to fight any more battles? What if I've had enough? I've done enough.
Done far more than enough. 100 times more than enough. But the Arcs are still here.
This is going weirdly Nixon.
Yeah. I shrugged. The strong eat the weak, I said. It's part of nature. Humans always win. Other animals always lose. Maybe it's our turn to lose.
Yes!
Going with this isn't about some race called humans. It's about what we know. People we see every day. My brother Tom is one of them. So why don't you go tell Tom it's okay that he's a slave of the Yerks? Because it's our turn to get... because it's our turn to get hammered.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Jake, my dad will have the skunk mother ready to be installed back into the den.
I know.
Ready to be returned here in a day or so. I'm not going to just abandon these kids.
I know that skunk mother is a fine way to phrase that, but for some reason, skunk mother sounds like the dankest IPA you've ever had. Like,
Yo, dude, I want to drink skunk mother. I want to drink. It's really good. And
We can
that's the
release
thing.
that
You guys
on the
were.
line. You can't stay in morph that long, and you know it.
I know. But I have to make sure no predators come around. I have to get them food, and I have to morph at least some of the time so they can imprint on their mother here in the wild. Look, I know it seems stupid to you and Marco, and probably the rest of everyone, but I have to do this. And scene.
okay.
Oh, no, there's more.
Tobias chimes in. I'll watch them.
And then Jake gets the line, we'll save the lousy skunks.
Yep. Does.
Thanks, Jake. And boomer ellipsis. Sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. I'll be okay now. I think? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, and then we gotta hit this. Jake has a slow smile.
Oh, God, I hate
And
this lightsaber.
it's come up before, but it seems to be his, signature. Like, Tobias eats eyes, Jake smiles slowly.
Jake, and I think it's that Jake smiles slowly over a paragraph of somebody else talking.
Yeah.
So it'd be like you're on a date and someone realizes they like what you're saying.
Or that they're
And
going to like
instead
it
of-
once you get to
instead of laughing, they just go from mild bemusement to...
Chris is smiling slowly in a
Creepy.
terrifying kind of way.
It's so creepy. I had to look at the camera to actually verify that I was doing what I thought I was
So
doing.
you start to notice that they're starting to smile while you're
We'll
still
have to.
finishing
Can
your
we
thought.
just insert? Yeah, exactly. Can we insert like a slide whistle, like over where I was smiling?
Sure.
I think that's
I
what
can
I
try
need.
to find it. Sure.
So there's a cute moment here at the end of the scene where Jake ends the scene by saying, "I'll be okay too, Cassie, as long as you're around." And as they're parting, Cassie hears Marco
From a
making
little ways off, she hears.
And that's when they realized that Marco had contracted cholera.
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon!